I've always found it interesting how many atheistic or agnostic minds use mythological stories to state that the similarities between them prove the Bible is a retelling of stories. However, I'm going to show you that it's the other way around, that mythology in fact is a retelling of biblical stories from the fallen angels' perspectives. Don't believe me yet? Follow me through this deep dive into Norse mythology to show exactly how it actually proves the Bible instead of discrediting it. Most of us are aware the Bible begins at creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Norse mythology begins after the hot world and cold world have already formed.
In the beginning, there was naught but the great yawning void known as Ginnungagap. The first realm to form was Muspelheim in the south, a bright land, engulfed in fire and guarded by Surt with his flaming sword. To the north formed Niflheim, the freezing land of fog, containing the spring Hevergilmir, from where the primordial rivers began to flow.
The Bible also talks about rivers coming from the center of the earth. And the Most High God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
These rivers flowed into the void and began to freeze as they came further from their source, until the north of the void was completely filled with ice. The moisture rising from the ice froze, creating layers of rime across the glacial landscape. The south of the void was brightened by the sparks and embers flying out of Muspelheim, creating a warm breeze which drifted towards the icy north. When the rime was touched by the breeze, it began to melt. Droplets came together as new life and took the form of Ymir, the first of the frost giants. When Ymir lay down to sleep, the sweat from his left armpit formed 2 children and his legs formed a 6-headed son. From them descended the frost giants.
Ymir is called the father of giants. Supposedly he is the origin of creation. However, clearly creation began prior to him, for there have been the land of ice and fire. The Bible tells this story as well, but differently. It also tells us exactly how these giants came to be. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and that they were fair, and they took them wives, all which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. The fact that we're still talking about these men shows very well that they were in fact men of renown. Let's get back to Norse mythology.
The drops from this rime then formed the cow Adumla, whose milk Ymir used for sustenance. Adumla sustained herself by licking the salty rime-covered stones surrounding her and Ymir. On the first day that she licked the stones, she uncovered the hair of a man. On the second day, his whole head appeared, and on the third day he was completely uncovered. He was called Buri, and before long he fathered a son called Bor. Bor married Bestla, the daughter of a giant, and they had 3 children together, the eldest being Odin, the second Vili, then Ve. The 3 brothers killed the giant Ymir, whose wounds unleashed a great stream of blood, drowning all the frost giants except Bergelmir, who built an ark and boarded it with his wife.
Perhaps the second most well-known event in the Bible is in relation to the flood, its destruction of life on earth, and the escape on the ark by Noah and his sons. Clearly this story mimics that, with some besmudging details. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Most High that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Most High said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repents me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Most High. And Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his ways upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make an ark of gopher wood. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth, and Noah went in and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle, and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man, and all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping thing, and the fowl of heaven. They were destroyed with the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. So a question remains. How did the giants persist after those days? The Bible said all living flesh in whose nostrils was the breath of life perished. Are the fallen angels flesh? Because if not, it does not state that they died in the flood.
They became the ancestors of all frost giants. Odin and his brothers took the body of Ymir to the center of the void, using it to create the world. The sea and the lakes came from his blood, and the land from his flesh. The mountains were made from his bones, and the rocks from his teeth. Ymir's skull was used to create the sky, and was placed over Earth's four corners. From Ymir's flesh spawned the dwarves, one of whom stood under each of Earth's corners. They are called North, South, East, and West.
Revelation 7 states, "And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth." Dwarves were considered less than the Norse gods, and so an undertone here would state that the fallen angels perhaps viewed themselves as higher than the angels who still served the Father.
Creating the stars. They were positioned in such a way day could be distinguished from night, thus started time. The earth took a circular shape and is surrounded by a deep ocean. Along the shore of this ocean, the brothers gave giants land to live on, which was named Jotunheim. To protect themselves against these giants, the brothers built fortifications further inland out of Ymir's eyebrows and named it Midgard. Finally, they took Ymir's brains and threw them into the sky, creating the clouds. From driftwood, Odin and his brothers created new life. Odin giving them breath and life, Vili intelligence and feeling, and they, form, speech, hearing, and sight. Thus, the first humans were born, a man and a woman, Ash and Elm.
We see Odin takes credit for man's creation. Ash and Elm out of tree, similar to Adam and Eve, whom were formed from the dust in the Bible. Let's not forget, Satan himself desires to be like the Most High, and disguises himself as an angel of light. How art you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet instead you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. It's no secret whom Hollywood works for, and therefore it should be no secret that they make Odin a protagonist, a righteous king in the Marvel Universe, one who surpasses all prophecy. Well, I wonder why.
They were given a home in Midgard, and it is here where humans still reside to this day. The brothers then fashioned a magnificent city named Asgard at the center of the world, a place to call home. Odin became the ruler of Asgard and took the beautiful Frigg as his wife. She bore him the Aesir, the divine gods who dwell in Asgard, and so Odin came to be known as All-Father, as he is the father of both the gods and mankind. To connect the realms, the gods built a bridge named Bifrost, which is known to the humans as a rainbow. Next to Bifrost lives Heimdall, who guards it against the mountain giants and is the watchman of the gods. He sports perfect vision in both night and day, golden teeth, and a horn named Gjallarhorn, whose blast can be heard in all worlds. In Jotunheim, a giant named Norfi had a daughter by the name of Night. She, in turn, had a son called Day. Odin took Night and Day, giving each a horse and chariot, who were then bid to ride around the heavens. On Earth, a boy Mani, meaning moon, and a girl Sol, meaning sun, were taken and placed in the heavens by the gods. Sol pilots the chariot pulling the sun, with Mani controlling the moon. The siblings move across the sky with such haste, as they are constantly being pursued by 2 great wolves, Skull and Hati, who wish to devour them. In all, 9 worlds were created to hold the different beings of the universe. Asgard is home to the gods and Midgard to the humans, Alfheim to the light elves, and Nidavellir to the dwarves, also known as the dark elves. Jotunheim was given to the giants, and Vanaheimir to the Vanir, a group of wise fertility gods. Niflheim and Muspelheim are the primordial realms which formed the cosmos. Finally, Hell is the land to which those who die dishonourably go, to spend the afterlife. These worlds are all connected by the great ash tree Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil has 3 great roots. The first sits above Urd's well, the Well of Fate, where the gods sit in council every day. Beside this well live the Norns, 3 prophetic maidens who determine the course of human lives. The second root of Yggdrasil is placed above Mimir's well, the Well of Wisdom. Beneath the final root sits Hvergelmir, the spring from which the primordial rivers originate. This root is constantly gnawed upon by the dragon Nidhogg. High in Yggdrasil sits a giant eagle who creates the winds when he takes flight. A squirrel named Ratatosk runs up and down the tree, delivering insults between the eagle and Nidhogg, provoking each. Odin, the Allfather, Lord of Asgard and the eternal seeker of knowledge, despite wielding immense power, values wisdom over all else. In his thirst for knowledge, Odin visited Mimir's well, whose waters hold the secret to great intelligence. The guardian of the well, Mimir himself, was not ready to so willingly share the gifts of the well, and so asked for a sacrifice from Odin to prove himself worthy. Odin gouged out one of his eyes and dropped it into the water. Impressed, Mimir offered Odin a drink, who happily accepted. Odin then sought the Norns, who shaped destiny by carving runes, which are Nordic letters, into the trunk of Yggdrasil. Determined to acquire the power and wisdom the runes could impart, Odin sought them out, but would once again have to prove himself worthy. Odin hung himself from a branch of Yggdrasil, whilst impaling himself on his spear. He also forbade the gods to give him food or water, leaving him to starve in pain for 9 days and nights before the runes finally revealed themselves to him. From them, he gained invaluable knowledge and could now wield runic magic to help heal and shield his allies or smite and crush his enemies.
Odin, in his thirst for knowledge, went and hung himself from a tree of knowledge in search of wisdom. Odin is also a famed shapeshifter, able to transform himself into any shape desired. Does this happen to remind you of a certain serpent, whom in turn decided to coerce Eve into consuming from a tree of knowledge? Perhaps a certain somebody was hungry for it themselves. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High God had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said that you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden God hath said, You shall not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die, for God knows that in the day that you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And of course Odin desires to be God himself. He refers to himself as the All-Father, and on his search for knowledge he plucks out his eye. What remains is referred to as his all-seeing eye. A symbol that we can't escape on our day-to-day lives, a symbol that's on our money, a symbol that this is not the true Father.
Odin's true goal is the gathering of knowledge in preparation for Ragnarok, the end of the world, in a desperate attempt to delay it. To prepare for the climactic fight, Odin sends his Valkyries, a group of divine maidens he commands, to every battle to decide who will be victorious and who will die. They then select the most heroic of the slain and bring them to Odin's hall in Asgard, called Valhalla. Odin sits at the head of this vast hall, with his 2 wolves, Geri and Freki. Odin himself needs nothing to eat, and sustains himself exclusively through wine, which serves as his food and drink. Atop his shoulders perch 2 ravens, Hugin, Thought, and Munin, Memory, who fly off into the world every day at sunrise to gather information. They always arrive back for the daily feast and whisper the events of the world into Odin's ears.
Odin is attributed to being giver of knowledge of magic, and war to the sons of man. We see something similar in the book of Enoch. And all the other angels together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and defile themselves with them, and they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind, and they began to sin against the birds. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones and coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Simjaza taught them enchantments and root cuttings, Armros the resolving of enchantments, Barakiel taught astrology, Kokabel the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Arakiel the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, Sariel the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven.
The fallen warriors who reside in Valhalla are known as Einherjar, and every day they commence in friendly battle with each other. At Ragnarok, they will stream out of the hall and stand shoulder to shoulder with the gods against the forces of destruction. Thor, Odin's son, protector of mankind, and the mighty god of thunder, is the strongest of the gods. He sports a magnificent mane of red hair and a giant rosy beard to match, flying around the skies on his carriage drawn by 2 goats. While quick to anger, Thor is a well-meaning god, and is often the unwitting victim of pranks played by the trickster god Loki. Thor is married to the goddess Sif, who herself fell victim to a prank by Loki. Loki thought it would be funny to shave Sif's hair off, but Thor, upon seeing his wife's bald head, found little to laugh at. He grabbed a hold of Loki, and was just about to start breaking bones when the prankster promised he could get the dwarves to fashion her a new head of hair. Thor agreed, and Loki soon had the dwarves mould pure gold into magical hair which would grow and act like normal. Along with this, they made many other treasures for the gods, including an indestructible hammer. As this hammer was forged, a fly bit the smith's eye, causing blood to cloud his vision, resulting in the handle being unusually short. These gifts were presented to the gods, and the hammer was given to Thor, who was incredibly impressed despite its flaw. If thrown, it would never miss its mark, and could always find its way back to him. Small enough to keep in his shirt, this hammer, which crushes all in its path, is named Mjolnir. Loki, the god of mischief and the nefarious son of a giant, aligns with or against the Aesir as he sees fit, often outwitting and pranking Thor, among others, for his own amusement. Loki went from a harmless prankster to a full-blown enemy of the Aesir as time went on. He had several children, including the giantess Hel, who resides over the realm that takes its name from her. Loki's other children include the Midgard serpent, Thor's eternal rival, and the giant wolf, Fenrir.
You guessed it, Jormungandr the world serpent and Fenrir the giant wolf both play significant parts in Ragnarok, but they also play a large part in the end of the world in the Bible. The Book of Enoch states, "And when the day and the power and the punishment and the judgment come, which the Lord of spirits hath prepared for those who worship not the righteous law, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, that day is prepared for the elect a covenant, but for sinners an inquisition. And on that day 2 monsters will be separated from one another, a female monster whose name is Leviathan, to dwell in the depths of the sea, above the springs of the waters, and the name of the male is Behemoth, who occupies with his breast an immense desert named Dendine, on the east of the garden, where the chosen and the righteous dwell."
Ragnarok is the end of days, where the gods are slain by the forces of chaos and the world is destroyed in fire. The end begins with 3 winters in which a series of battles rage across the world, where brother will turn on brother and the sanctity of kinship shall be broken.
Is it a coincidence that the Bible states pretty much the exact same thing? Tell us, when shall these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All of these are the beginnings of sorrows. And they will deliver you up to be afflicted, and will kill you. You shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and they shall betray one another, and hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and will deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that endures until the end, the same will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. And when you have seen the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to grab anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe be unto all them that are with child, and to them which give suck in those days. But pray that your flight be not in the winter, nor on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, ever shall be, nor shall, and except those days be shortened, there should not be any flesh saved, but for the elect's sake those days will be shortened. Then if any man will say unto you, Lo, here is Messiah, or God, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise many false messiahs and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible they shall deceive even the elect.
Then comes Fimbulwinter, bringing ceaseless snow and freezing winds. 3 of these winters will pass in succession, with summer ceasing to exist. The sun and the moon will be caught and devoured by the wolves chasing them, and the stars will disappear from the heavens. The world will be struck by earthquakes as the monstrous sons of Loki emerge, the wolf Fenrir with flames streaming from his eyes, and the Midgard serpent spewing venom across land and sea. The ship of the dead, known as Naglfar, made entirely of the nails of the dead, will sail the frost giants of Jotunheim, accompanied by Loki and the forces of Hel to fight the gods. Amid the chaos, the sky is split apart by the soldiers of Muspelheim, led by the magnificent Surt, who will trample upon Bifrost, destroying it. Even Nidhogg, who gnaws at Yggdrasil's root, shall leave his home to aid the giants. Upon seeing Ragnarok approaching, Heimdall blows Gjallarhorn, alerting the gods to the end of days. The Aesir and Einherjar march bravely towards the Chaos Horde, with Odin at their head. Despite Odin's preparations, the gods fall, one by one, until they are no more.
Considering that the Norse gods fail in the final battle, the final cataclysm, it goes to show you exactly who they actually are. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them down to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and they prevailed not. They lost, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of his brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night.
Frey, the fertility god, advances against Surt, but is struck down by his flaming sword. Garm, the guardian dog of Hel, ravages the battlefield, leading Tyr, god of war and justice, to sacrifice himself to slay the beast. Thor takes on the Midgard serpent, striking his foe with lightning and hammer, the serpent responding with poison and fangs. Thor emerges victorious, but soon falls to the ground dead, succumbing to the serpent's poison. Odin engages Fenrir, and while he fights valiantly, the great wolf takes victory, devouring the All-Father there and then. Upon seeing his father fall, the god Vidar rushes at the wolf, planting one foot in the beast's lower jaw and ripping Fenrir's head in two. Heimdall clashes with Loki, and each will fall by the other's blade. Finally, Surt covers the whole world in fire, destroying it in a mighty blaze. This is not the end, however, as from the end of the old world, another can be born anew. Few escape Ragnarok, but those that do rebuild the fallen world. Odin's sons Vidar and Vali survive and inhabit the ruins of Asgard. Thor's sons Modi and Magni later join them, carrying Mjolnir with them. Baldr and Hod then ascend from hell together and reminisce on the bygone age. Two humans survive by hiding in a place known as Hodmimir's Wood, and will have many descendants repopulating the world. The son will also have a daughter before she dies, no less beautiful than her, who shall follow her mother's path in the sky. Upon this new world, the population will prosper and rejoice in the peaceful years to come. Look to the horizon, however, to see a dark shadow loom. The dragon Nidhogg, carrying corpses in his great talons. Ragnarok will come again.
And of course, in this situation, there is a nearly identical retelling as well. But from the Bible and the book of Revelation's perspective, it just happens to make a lot more sense. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sea of the sand. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and the compass of the camp of the saints, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will deal with them, and they shall be his people. And God himself shall be with them, and be their God. And God shall wipe away all their tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. And I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. And he that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake of fire, which burns from the fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Thank you so much for watching. This video took dozens of hours to put together, so if you liked it, please hit that like button. And if there is anything that you recognized in the mythology that you can draw some links to in the Bible, please leave that in a comment down below and let the other people who are watching this video know. And if you feel like it, please share the video. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and as always, be blessed. Have a great day.